The night was heavy with the scent of rain-soaked earth. In his dimly lit office, James sat alone, the glow of a single lamp scattering light across scattered papers like fallen leaves after a storm. His hand trembled as it traced the outline of a photograph. Tu Diep laughing at the market, sunlight tangled in her hair. That laughter had once been his refuge. Tonight, it was a reminder of everything he might lose. For days, a secret had pressed against his chest like a blade. To speak it aloud meant risking the fragile world he and Tu Diep had built together. To stay silent meant living beside her each day while carrying a lie that would rot their love from within. Every heartbeat felt like a ticking clock, and James knew the most dangerous battles were the ones fought within our own souls. The weight of inheritance. The storm outside had rolled farther into the mountains, but inside James's chest, thunder still rumbled. His father's words from earlier echoed like a curse. If she ever finds out what our family did to hers, she will hate you forever. The betrayal, land stolen, lives displaced, was not just history. It was the wound that had set John on his path of vengeance. And James, carrying the sins of his bloodline, had chosen silence. Until now, his mind drifted back to the first day he saw Tu Diep. She was selling okra in the crowded market, her hands quick and gentle as she counted coins. He, a CEO steeped in ambition and power, had been undone by her kindness. She had stood by him through John's schemes, through the factory strikes, even the night on the bridge when he nearly lost both her and little NHI. How could he repay such faith with a lie? A door opens, the door creaked. Tu Diep entered, her hair damp from rain, cheeks flushed from the cold. She carried NHI asleep on her shoulder and set the child gently on the sofa. Turning to James, she smiled softly. "You're still awake," she murmured. "Is it the company again?" James swallowed hard. Words hovered on his lips, but they tangled with fear. Finally, he stood and reached for her hand. "It's more than the company," he admitted, her brow furrowed. "James, what is it? You're scaring me." The photograph on the desk seemed to burn in his vision. His father's warning thundered again in his mind. Yet when Tu Diep stepped closer and placed her warm hand over his, he saw trust, fragile, unguarded, undeserved. "The confession. I need you to know something," James whispered, his voice breaking. "What John did, what's happening now, it all began with something my family did years ago. My father took land that wasn't ours. It was yours." Tu Diep froze. Her lips parted, shock tightening the silence. "I didn't know at first," James rushed on, his throat raw. When I found out, I was ashamed. I stayed quiet because I couldn't bear to see that look in your eyes, the one you're giving me now. The clock ticked loudly in the stillness. James felt the edges of his world collapse. Then, slowly, Tu Diep drew in a shuddering breath. You should have told me, she said, her voice trembling but steady. You should have trusted me enough to tell me. I was afraid, James confessed, tears in his eyes. Afraid of losing you. Afraid of losing our baby. But I can't keep lying, not to you, not to us. Tu Diep's eyes filled with tears. There was no fury, only hurt and sadness. She stepped closer, resting her forehead against his. I won't lie, it hurts, she whispered. But love isn't just for the good days. It's for facing the storms too. Relief and sorrow mingled in James's chest as he wrapped his arms around her. Outside, the last thunder faded into silence. For the first time in weeks, the weight pressing down on him eased, not gone, but lighter. Morning after the storm. The dawn spilled soft gold across the room. James woke first, startled by the brightness. For a moment, he thought the confession had been a dream. But then he turned and saw Tu Diep's steady breathing, the faint tracks of dried tears on her cheeks. The truth had been spoken. There was no turning back. A quiet giggle broke the silence. Nhi sat cross-legged on the floor, tracing circles on the wooden planks with her finger. James lifted her into his arms, her embrace a lifeline. Tu Diep stirred, offering a faint but genuine smile. You didn't sleep much, she said gently. I didn't, James admitted. But for the first time in weeks, I don't feel trapped. Tu Diep tied her hair into a braid. The land is gone, James. My family survived without it. But lies destroy trust. And without trust, we can't survive. James nodded, his throat tight. I'll face John. I'll face the company. But I need you with me. Pride and reputation mean nothing. What matters is us. Tu Diep studied him for a long moment, then placed her hand over his heart. If we face this together, we face all of it. But fear will not dictate our lives. A public reckoning. Later that day, the sky was startlingly clear, a fragile contrast to the turmoil still swirling around them. James drove to the construction site, Tu Diep beside him, Nhi asleep in the back. The workers paused as he stepped out of the car. Whispers spread, about stolen funds, about halted projects, about John's accusations. James raised his hands. His voice carried across the yard. I know you've heard things. Some of them are true. Mistakes were made, by my family, by me. But I won't hide anymore. We rebuild this company honestly, or we don't rebuild at all. And no one, not John, not even my father, will make me betray the people I love again. Uneasy glances passed through the crowd, but a few men nodded. Tu Diep stood a few steps behind James, her gaze steady, her presence unshakable. For the first time, James felt the flicker of hope. He reached for her hand. It's a start, he murmured. She squeezed back. Storms don't last forever, James. But you have to walk through the rain. Shadows on the horizon. At the edge of the site, a black car idled, windows tinted. Inside sat John, watching. The silent reminder. This battle was far from over. But with Tu Diep's hand in his and Nyi's laughter floating on the breeze, James knew one thing with certainty. He would not face it alone. Reflection, love, silence, and courage. James had stood at a crossroads. Confess the truth and risk losing everything, or remain silent and let lies slowly corrode their love. His choice to speak revealed the central truth of every relationship. Silence may feel safe, but it becomes a prison. Tu Diep's reaction was just as powerful. Though hurt, she chose empathy over anger. Their story reminds us that love is not defined by perfection, but by courage, the courage to be vulnerable, to tell the truth, and to face storms together. John's revenge, born from past injustices, is a warning of how old wounds echo across generations. Yet James's refusal to deny his family's sins shows another path. Honesty, responsibility, and compassion can break cycles of hate. The lesson is clear. Love cannot survive in shadows. It demands trust, honesty, and the resilience to keep walking through the rain, together.